You've been getting in touch with us wanting to share your stories in an effort to reduce any stigma still attached to mental health difficulties. One of those people is Nick Jenkins. Nick works in IT and was doing between 12 and 17-hour days during the pandemic to keep everything running smoothly for those working from home. As a result, he suffered from burnout early this year and has been sharing his experiences.
I experienced physical symptoms. I got to the point, where I thought I was having a heart attack and all the usual good stuff. Went to the doctor, told me that, physically I was absolutely fine, but that I needed to take some time off work because I wasn't very happy about taking time off work. They kind of eased me in. So I ended up at the men's shed, basically, through Guernsey Mind. It just seemed like a good place for me to go.
When you look back at your time when you were experiencing burnouts, how do you feel you've progressed since then? And what do you feel like you need to do to continue that progression?
Listen, everybody is different. Effectively, I kind of see my stress as a bucket of stress, and my bucket is pretty big because I do yoga, I do Tai Chi, I go to the gym, I run. But those things almost became part of the problem as well, because they made my bucket size bigger. If your bucket of stress you consider like a water barrel that sits in your garden with a tap at the bottom, it doesn't matter how big your bucket is. If that tap is not working, or if more stress is going in than is coming out, your bucket is going to overflow. And I reached the point where I made myself physically sick. And where I've got to since then is actually, being more mindful.
I understand that your company has made some sort of changes, I suppose, in the way that you look at mental health. Tell us a bit about that.
One of the things that they were looking to incept was something called wellness champions around the organisation, and they asked for volunteers. I was asked because I'm quite an advocate for trying to remove stigma around mental health, and I'm open about talking around my own challenges and what it's meant for me, because I think the more we can talk about and acknowledge it, the more people are going to own up actually to what's going on with them.
How do you think the island's coped with mental health in the past, and what do you think the challenges are that have been brought about maybe by the pandemic that the island, not just at a service level, but at a society level, has to deal with?
It's a really good question. And by and large, we're incredibly lucky. We've got a very good community spirit. Younger people are really having struggles because all the news we get at the moment is very negative, and it's all around the pandemic and the impact of it. And the fact that the health services are struggling under the weight of everything else they're dealing with, and the governments are struggling with finances and being able to fund things. And very often mental health is one of the first things that kind of gets pushed aside because it's very invisible. So we have got a problem, and it's kind of hiding under the covers a bit. And, a lot of people I know are struggling. They don't always want to reach out for help.
But without charities like Men's Shed, where do you think you'd be?
I've certainly got a lot of help from the Men's Shed. Where would I be? I don't know.
Nick Jenkins, who is now a regular visitor to the Men's Shed, and he was speaking there to our reporter Edward Rowe.